We're gonna need a bigger boat.
Meet Tiny, the local fisherman who spends every day at the pond. Tiny loves to fish and considers himself to be quite good at it. He catches between 5 to 10 fish each day, an amount that Tiny is perfectly happy with. That is, until he notices that his neighbor comes home with 20 to 30 fish each day. Tiny gets jealous. He has been fishing longer than his neighbor and does it much more often. Why is his neighbor catching more? What could he do to catch even more fish than his neighbor does? Tiny thinks and thinks and thinks until it hits him. There's a sea just down the road that's 10 times as big as his pond. With a bigger body of water, there's bound to be more fish there. And with more fish, Tiny is bound to catch more. Surely he can catch triple or even quadruple the amount of fish he does now. Tiny goes to bed that night dreaming of his sea and all the fish he will catch. As soon as he wakes, Tiny rushes over to the sea and casts out his reel. He can barely contain his excitement as he catches his first fish just moments later. He then catches a second and a third until he has 20 fish surrounding him. Feeling proud, Tiny packs up his 20 fish and heads home. He returns the next day and catches more fish than he ever has. This happens again and again until one day he only catches 2 fish. Confused, Tiny decides to get to the sea earlier the next day and stay longer, thinking this will solve his fish drought. When he gets there, though, Tiny notices a giant boat being sailed through the waves. Jeff and Company Fishing is going right through Tiny's favorite spot, pulling a net along. Inside the net, at least 100 fish. Tiny doesn't know what to do. He can't get a boat or a giant net. This isn't fair, thinks Tiny. They're catching all the fish and there's nothing I can do to keep up. Try as he might, Tiny is never going to be able to compete with Jeff and Co. With his head hung, Tiny heads back to his pond, realizing he can do better in his local space.
And that's how Tiny found out about the dangers of scaling up your business. The end.